Hey there friends, it's Liz from the Peacock Homestead, and in this week's video we'll be in the kitchen making meals from the garden, and then I'm also going to be making an herbal tea for my goats, a natural tick spray for the goats and dogs, and harvesting a few things from my garden. Now this week I harvested a bunch of peas and cilantro, and I also did another harvest of peas as well, and a little bit of lemon balm, so we can make some sun tea. Then I also harvested this basil, so I'm going to be making a pesto with this, and I'm also going to be putting it in a breakfast casserole, and it's super delicious. This week I also made a traditional cheddar cheese. I added some annatto food coloring just to give it a little orangey colors like the traditional cheddar cheese. I also had taken some sourdough bread and banana bread out at the beginning of the week because I'm busy working. I'm going to give all these spices and my peas a good wash, and then I'm going to get them dehydrating in my little drying rack that I had purchased this year on Amazon. And I'm going to get going on the pesto. So what I've got here are some walnuts, and I also have a couple of garlic scapes that actually escaped from me last time, so I'm going to add them to this pesto. Then I have green onions from the front garden. I have red onions and pearl onions growing up there, so I just kind of snip those off and use those for green onions. And then I have my basil here, and that smells so good. I can't wait to make a marguerite pizza with this. And I'm gonna use my Ninja blender and some of this olive oil. It's the Pompian oil. I get it at Walmart for around $21. I know this seems like a lot, but I'm actually gonna store this in the fridge for future meals. I'm gonna put it on some focaccia bread. I'll put it on crackers and some of my pizzas on my side, of course, because the hubs don't like it. But it was so delicious. I put salt and pepper in it, and look at the color. It's so vibrant. I'm just going to pop this in the freezer for later. We're going to pop out to the garden real quick because I was so excited to see something from far away, and the something was my beautiful rose finally bloomed. I couldn't even believe it. I had planted her 3 other times, and I just wanted to show you guys how beautiful she was. The other thing that I wanted to point out, that it looks like it's snowing at my house. My cottonwood tree is sending out its seed again. It's supposed to do it, I think, every 2 years, but it's been every year since we've been here. It sends out seeds, and then it looks like we have a white carpet all over the lawn and our garden. So I have to give everything a good wash before we actually consume it, but it looks really beautiful. This is my traditional cheddar. I made this on Wednesday, and I'm just gonna cut it in half because I wanted to show you the really neat mechanical holes that forms on the inside. And I'm gonna age this for about 3 to 6 months. But you see the little mechanical holes? Those are so neat. And I was gonna actually age it in cheesecloth and then some beef tallow, the traditional way, but I decided just to vacuum pack it up because I didn't think it pressed good enough, and it's all kind of crazy looking, but it looks really nice on the inside. So I'll just pop this in my cheese cave, and I'll give you an update on that. So I've been storing all of my cheeses in my new cheese cave. This is my converter. I got that off of Amazon. And what you do is you turn your freezer up all the way to high, and then you plug this in. So the freezer cord plugs into the converter plugs into an outlet, and the thermometer goes in the refrigerator or freezer. You can convert a fridge or a freezer. We chose this little freezer, and Peanut decided he was going to help. He is assisting me in checking all of the cheeses. This is actually his room. They have a cat room, so Jack, he doesn't eat all the excrement from the kitties. But this is all of my cheeses that I had made so far. We have a few that we've eaten, like cheddar and a manchego. And I have a few cheeses aging in here. I have a Jarlsberg, and this was my Gruyere that I had made. My Jarlsberg is on the top, and this is the thermometer. So we have it taped in there. I didn't know how else to put it in there. I have it duct taped so it stays very well. It's not aesthetically pleasing, but it works. And then that just keeps it at 50 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Usually it sticks around 53, but I can fit a lot of cheese in there, so that makes me happy. And I figured those little wine cheese cubes is going to be too small for the amount of cheese that we were going to be making. So thank you, Peanut, for the help. You tell him, little brother. You tell him. You sunbathing? You sunbathing? Good girl. You heard that rooster across the street? Yeah, you're the king. You're the king. Stretch it out, big boy. This week I've noticed my little Tiana, one of my baby goats, was feeling under the weather, so I decided to make her an immune boosting tea. I had some nettle from my garden. I had harvested some mullein leaf, so I'm going to put that on the tea. I have some echinacea, which is immune boosting, and I also have some oregano from my garden as well. And then I'm going to add a couple dashes of garlic. And I'm going to steep that just like any other tea for about 15 to 20 minutes without the garlic. I'm going to add that last. And this is what the tea looked like. It was a nice dark color. And then for her little spot that she rubbed her scab off on her horn, it was bleeding, so I wanted to make the bleeding stop. So I added this salve that I had gotten from my previous job. It's called golden yellow salve. And it worked pretty good on dog wounds. One time a dog came in at the clinic and he had gotten road rash, and it worked really well. So I figured this would work pretty good. She had rubbed her head so hard that her little scab came off and it was bleeding from when she was dehorned. And that's the tea. What I did is I put just a cup of tea in each water bowl, and I added the rest water. So I filled it up with the rest with water. And I gave it to her for about 5 to 7 days, and she was just good as new. No more boogies or anything, so that really helped. And this week my husband and I have also been working in the back gardens. We had replanted the gardens. We had to move them because the goats were going on that side of the yard. So we had planted some lettuce that's coming up, and I have some collard greens in the back, and I also planted some sunflower seeds today, and I have some sunflowers growing. Those are the seeds that I had saved from last year's sunflowers. Then I have some zinnias there and some taller sunflowers in the back. Those are sunflower seeds that I had bought. I believe those are the mammoths. And in this garden I had planted my tomatoes. So what I did with these little tomatoes is I planted the seeds last year in a little pot of dirt, and the tomato seeds dried, and I started watering it kind of a few weeks ago, and they finally popped up, and so I planted those. This is a squash plant that Tom had planted on the corner here because it's probably going to go crazy and just spread out all through the yard. And And then I wanted to show you my wild berry bush. So this was here when we bought the property, and we've just been fertilizing it, and it's been getting more berries every year. So this is the best year that it's been. So we can't wait for these. Probably try to make some Pop-Tarts or a little pie with it. And it's a nice little treat when you're working in the garden. One of the wonderful things about growing a garden is that you can make a plain meal that you have. Like, I would say we have breakfast casseroles once a week here. And you can make it into something special with just the things that you have growing in your garden or just that are in season. And right here I have a couple of batches of ricotta cheese that I'm going to be adding to it. I have some bacon, and then I have some lettuce, spinach, and I also have some basil and then some mashed potatoes there. And I have some eggs mixed up with all the grains. I also have onions as well in there from my front garden. So I'm going to add the potatoes first. And that's going to be the base of my breakfast casserole. And I'm taking some eggs and all of my greens. I have spinach and I have romaine lettuce, and I'm going to be clipping some basil in there. And I also had some green onions in there as well. And then I'm just adding more layers of flavor. And then I have my ricotta cheese that I made from the weight of 2 of my cheeses. So I have 2 little batches, and that was just enough to add some cheesy flavor to this breakfast casserole. And then I'm going to add some bacon on the top, and that's going to be the cease de resistance. That actually made it amazing, and my husband came back for seconds, and he never does that. And I also save the bacon grease for cooking eggs in the morning or some fried potatoes, so I like doing that as well. But for the pan, I did grease it in some of my beef tallow that I had made this year. I stumbled upon this really amazing natural tick spray for dogs, and I also did some research and I found out that it was safe for goats as well, because I found a couple ticks on one of my little goaty girls, and I want to make a natural spray for my dogs and my goats. So I found this recipe on the YouTube channel Veterinary Secrets. It's Dr. Jones's recipe. So I'm going to take some natural witch hazel. You can use natural witch hazel with aloe vera, but it is 7 tablespoons of witch hazel. And then I am going to take a carrier oil, and I chose coconut oil, liquid coconut oil, because it is super safe for your pets. And you're going to need 2 tablespoons of that. And the one essential oil that I thought was really neat was turmeric, and that is going to take 50 drops of that. So I use the Now brand. It is safe, and I've used it on my animals and on me before, so I know it is a trusted brand. And I have a glass spray bottle, and I'm going to mix it all up and carefully pour it in the bottle. And when I use it, I'm just gonna shake it up a little bit and mist them about 2 to 3 times a week. I'm gonna be using it on my dogs and my goats. So I'll just mist it on their legs and on their back, and I will spray in my hand and rub it on their ears and around their neck so I don't get their eyes. And I'll let you know how it works. This will be a wonderful alternative to all those poisons out there. On this night, I had a whole bunch of greens from the garden sauteing up with some beef tallow, salt, and pepper. And then I grabbed out a package of some hamburger with pork. So those are going to be hamburger pork patties. And I've got some going in the back for the doggos. And I'm going to put some of my homemade manchego cheese melted on top. So it'll be manchego cheeseburgers with this sauteed greens, and it is going to be wonderful. Then I have some bread going. Towards the end of the week, I had to make some bread and bagels, so I got that going. And the patties are looking wonderful. I got the manchego cheese on top. And this is what I gave the dog, some hamburger and pork cooked up with some greens on top. And I just wanted to show you the little mechanical holes in my manchego cheese. I think that's so neat. And this is all that is left from that 2-pound wheel. We ate through that really fast. It had a really creamy and wonderful flavor, so that was so delicious. And it melted really good on top of these patties. So that was dinner tonight, and that was so good. And I added a chicken bouillon spice to the greens as well, and it gave it a really nice flavor. This is the next morning. I let all my bread kind of proof overnight. So I got my bagels here, and then I got my sourdough bread in my Banneton basket, and then my colander because I only have one Banneton basket. And then I collected some eggs this morning. I have a few little bantam chicken eggs and 2 of my Rhode Island red eggs. And this is what the bagels look like. I did half everything bagel and half plain because sometimes we like to have sandwiches or maybe jelly on one. And this is what the bread looked like. So it turned out really nice. I was really happy with that. I'll put one in the freezer for the week and we'll keep one out. And I do have my recipes on my blog, thepeacockhomestead.com, if you wanted to try them. I had to get out in the garden and harvest some of my sweet peas. They were getting kind of chubby, so I wanted to get those off the plant before they got kind of like a bitter taste or too hard. So I like to harvest them kind of young so they're nice and sweet and crunchy. So I have my helpers Jack, and Blessing. And Jack was helping himself to the peas, which I do not mind at all. It is so good for him. So I'm just letting him graze off of them. He was sneaking my little peas and I kept calling them beans. He's so funny. But of course I gave him a good wash before we ate them. But he is having a blast helping Mama in the garden. He is my little bestie. Andy. Eat your bean, honey. Eat your bean. Good boy. You were sneaking the beans? No. All right. I got my lemon balm tea going. I'm going to pop that in the sun. I kind of had to move it around. The sun was off and on today, and it sprinkled off and on. So I'll probably end up doing a cold fusion in the fridge. These are my little sweet peas. I got a little bag, and we're gonna have some for dinner, and I'm gonna pop them in the fridge for future meals and side dishes. So right here, I just have a turkey sandwich with my manchego cheese that I had made. We got some sweet peas and pickles for dinner. Something quick and easy, and the beans were a replacement for chips. And it made it so much healthier for us. I just want to show you real quick that I do have some zucchini flowers finally, and they look so beautiful. They look like little stars. So that is really promising. We'll be getting some zucchini soon. So I can't wait to show you guys that. And that's it, friends. I just wanted to thank you guys so much for watching. And thank you to all my subscribers and all my new subscribers. I hope you're having a blessed week. And I'll see you on the next video, friends.